My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Nunas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Sky.
And it's that time again. It's time for genre jar. And I always like the genre jar because it always really accentuates the fact that French was one of my first languages, because I can't say it without like a little genre jar. It's time for the genre jar. So as if you're new to the podcast and don't know what the genre jar is, we've put a bunch of genres in a literal jar. And then Sky draws 4 of them, and then we put a poll up on Twitter with these 4 genres that everyone can vote on which one they want to know is our favorite drama of that genre. And this month, very exciting, my favorite genre, Jessie's favorite genre too.
Oh, yeah.
I just saw her happily smiling across our Skype. It's Supernatural won by quite a
landslide.
margin. It was quite a large
And
gap.
here's the thing, when we do these polls, it's usually tied to the very end. We are worried that we're going to have to like throw up another poll again because it's half and half. It's just always tied, but
No,
not
today.
this time.
Not even close.
You guys
Not today.
really don't want to be in the real world right now, it seems.
Yeah, people are like, we want to hear about some wizards and shit. Like, come on, do this.
I'm done with this real world
Yeah.
crap.
Same though.
Yeah, all of us
Same.
are there.
Yeah.
But anything that we can do here to help you forget about real life for a while, we are willing to do. And that means today we are going to be talking about the supernatural genre. We actually, just before we started recording, were talking about what does constitute the supernatural genre, because it kind of encapsulates
A
quite
lot.
He
a
does.
chunk. Because, like,
Yeah.
ghosts and demons, that's technically it. Magic, so like wizards and spells and curses, that sort of stuff. That's
Body
supernatural.
swapping.
Body swapping can be supernatural.
slips.
As long as there's no scientific reason for whatever fantastic thing to happen is happening.
And then it kind of
It's
gets into
supernatural.
sci-fi, but also
Not because
we can kind
Like
of put it back
aliens-
into supernatural.
aliens are sci-fi, not supernatural.
But they sometimes
But they
Can
sometimes
be
can do
if you
magic
want it.
stuff.
And then also it's us, so we like don't care that
Do
much.
it,
yeah.
Like,
We're
the
not
way-
really- we're not really purists in this sense.
No.
So like,
Now, to me, when you're talking like robots, to me that's sci-fi.
that's sci-fi. Yeah.
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 I think when it
But-
has like some sort of like scientific kind of basis, or like they're showing science, then it's
Yeah.
sci-fi.
Even
But,
if
like,
it's like, hey, it's
Then,
big science.
then you get into sort of the weird, like, where do time travel things go? Is that supernatural or is that sci-fi? I would put it in
It's like-
sci-fi personally.
But I would also put it in supernatural too, because a lot of
Yeah.
the times they are supernatural because
It's just
there's
the
no 'cause there's
Scientific
no-
reason.
Like it's usually not like, especially in dramas,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of times when the time travel happens by someone who's a scientist. It just
Yeah.
happens.
Whereas
you know?
like Back to the Future, like that's
Yeah,
sci-fi.
that's sci-fi.
That's science. But like
But like,
Tomorrow
I don't
with
know.
You, that drama
That's-
Tomorrow with You. Technically he has to be on the train, so that's technically technology, but it's just him. It's not the train
Yeah,
that's doing
like,
it. It's
but
just
and it also
him.
doesn't make any
when he
there's
goes
no
on the
reason
train.
given for why he can do this.
No.
But like,
It's
I
like-
would still consider that sci-fi personally. But like, there's we're
Well,
not hard limits here. We're
and we were
not
saying
loose.
too, and when we were discussing it, we were talking too about the like Chinese dramas have a ban right now on fairies. So
Yeah.
every fairy story starts out with this like precursor story about how aliens came to our planet thousands of years ago, and
Yeah.
we perceived them as fairies because we didn't know their
But-
science. Not magic,
but
it's
they weren't.
science.
They
Got it.
weren't.
MDL right now has Tomorrow with You as a supernatural. It
Yeah.
doesn't say sci-fi at all. It's just romance, drama, melodrama, supernatural.
Yeah. But like, I would consider that more sci-fi just
Mhm.
personally. It's all just a personal preference.
Yeah, and
really.
I mean, like, honestly, in the end of the day, doesn't
Who
really
cares?
matter.
We're just having a good time. We're just
Watch
having
what
literally
we
just here to have a
like,
good
or
time.
don't watch what we like. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And so, like,
Because
you know,
you think we like.
these genre jar situations are more of a way for you, the listener, to gauge what each of us likes.
Mhm.
So, like, if there's someone who you like, yeah, I have a similar personality to this one, maybe I'll like the same sort of shows. Well, here, we're giving you our recommendations for what we enjoy. But just know that just because we enjoyed it doesn't mean you might enjoy it, and vice versa.
Enjoyment is not equivalent to quote-unquote quality under
Yes.
whoever's standards. We don't
Like,
proclaim
Listen,
that.
I once recommended EXO Next Door because I enjoyed it. I was like, quality.
You know what?
mm,
It's whatever
mm.
you find enjoyable and you want to
Exactly.
watch, you should be
You should just
okay
watch
with
it.
it. You should just
No,
watch it if you like it.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
We-
life
we-
is tough right now. We don't need to, like, force ourselves into watching things that we don't want to watch. Like, there's no reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just-
Life is short, man. Just like
Yeah,
watch.
And there's so
and-
much content out there that, like,
Yeah.
you could be using that time with something that you really like. And I think that
And-
forcing yourself to, like, watch something that you're not into just kind of, like, prohibits you finding something else that you
Yeah.
would be into. All of our time is so valuable. Like,
It
you
is.
just,
Mhm.
you should,
It
like,
is.
want to enjoy the time that you have.
And, like,
Yep.
sometimes the things you enjoy cost you stupid amounts of money you probably shouldn't have spent. Like the $20 I just spent on an English translation of a Thai ebook because your girl's desperate for the
Oh,
content.
Do you mean the 4 Day 6 albums that I have coming to me? Yeah, sure.
Oh, you mean the $100 I also spent on albums where I accidentally also bought the same version of an album that I already owned and then had to message the company and beg them to change it, and they did.
Oh, yay!
Yay.
Yes, Asia.
Thank you, Yes Asia. Not sponsored, but they like were the real MVPs of that. Where I was like,
Hey.
listen, your girl's an idiot.
If Yes Asia wanted to sponsor us, we would
Like,
be.
hey,
Hey,
we
Yes
are open.
Asia.
Yes, Asia, we
Hey.
are open. We love you. We order
I
stuff
bought
from you.
Like,
We,
please.
I buy a lot of stuff from Yes Asia.
Yeah, I do too.
Like if I'm
Well-
buying if this is not sponsored, but if I'm
Yeah.
buying an album,
That's where I look.
Well, I can
Yeah.
buy, like, Japanese albums and
Yeah.
Korean all in
you
one.
can buy,
Like,
and you can buy the OSTs
OSTs are really good
OSTs.
there.
and the DVDs.
Still
Like
mad
the-
that I
Mhm.
didn't buy the OST for the package. I'm so desperate for that thing. It's so pretty. It comes in a little round case and it's got a little. It was such a pretty album, and I really, really wanted it. And I put
Wait,
it in my
doesn't it-
cart and I walked away. And when I came back, it was all sold out, and they don't have it anymore on the site. Don't walk away from your cart.
I
people.
will admit this
Just buy
though,
stuff.
my one minor criticism. So I own the Sehun version of the EXO SC What a Life album, and I wanted to get its Chanyeol accompaniment, and they only had the Sehun version. So I was like, I guess I'll just buy another copy of Don't Mess Up My Tempo of the version I already have. I'm a fucking idiot. I will say, in that sense, it did take 4 of us, like, a good 45 minutes, and also roping Matthew in to figure out what version was what version. So,
You could have made that a whole podcast on its own, just trying to figure out what Natalia
Yeah.
bought or didn't already have,
Fucking
or
Really,
yeah.
like, narrowing it down.
and,
They
like,
always have to have all
every
those
website
multiple
said that
covers.
the version was a different version. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking
No,
about
we're talking about Supernatural.
So, the way that this always works, we just start going in about what our favorite Supernatural thing is, and we're sort of like having a little, like, we're pitching this. We're having a little pitch meeting to you, the listener, about why we think you might enjoy our favorite Supernatural drama. So, who wants to kick us off?
No pressure when you just called it a pitch meeting.
We're pitching our dramas in a very fun, pleasant way. There's no winners. There's no monetary thing. We just want you to maybe enjoy a new drama. So,
My favorite favorite Korean drama is a supernatural drama. So
perfect.
I was sort of like, oh, well, this one and this one. And then when I was looking through my list, I was like, wait, that one, Chicago Typewriter.
Ooh, I
it's
love
about
Chicago
a haunted typewriter. Ooh, spooky.
I have to say that I love it when like sometimes Chicago Typewriter is one of these shows where the description of it makes it sound so stupid, but when you watch it, it's so good because the description being like, oh yeah, a guy has a haunted typewriter. And yeah.
You gotta love Asian dramas when they do that to you and you're like, but this is the best show I've ever seen. What's going on?
Yeah. And I mean, okay, it's a little weird. It takes a little to get into initially because you're like, but there's also kind of there's a haunted dog maybe, and there's like stuff, there's sort of time travel going on, but not really because they don't really it's like they astral project back into their past lives.
They remember their past selves.
Experience their past selves, and so there's a whole like reincarnation thing going on, and a ghost and a typewriter and it's a whole thing, and the most beautiful bookshelves you have ever seen in your lives. Every single character in this story is a writer, and they all love to read, and so they all have different bookshelves, and it's like the bookshelves are their personalities. So like the one character has he's a very austere, cranky kind of person, whatever, and he his bookshelves are all white and pristine, but they're whole walls of bookshelves. And then another guy, and he's got sort of old, classic kind of, you expect there to be a library ladder that slides down the wall kind of thing. And the girl's got her bedroom's just got shelves everywhere that are covered in bookshelves, and the bookshelves. But this is not the bookshelf themed podcast. This is but it's really good. It's a really, really good drama. It just really is very excellently done. The soundtracks are phenomenal on it. And it's really nice. It gives you a look into the Japanese occupation early period, in that sort of 20s, 30s kind of time frame. So the costumes are just gorgeous. It's wonderful to watch.
The filming is gorgeous on that.
Oh, it's so pretty to watch, and the actors are incredible. It's all great actors. It's a beautiful love triangle. I usually hate love triangles, but this one is just sad and gorgeous, and cried and cried and cried, and you know what's coming because they're all reincarnated or ghosts, so they all died. This is not a surprise to you, but still, when you see them die in the past, you cry because it's sad. They tell the story so well, and it's so great. And for me, I kind of knew a little bit about the Japanese occupation period, and that it had happened, but I didn't know a lot about it. So for me, watching this drama really told me a lot about that time period and what it was like for the Korean resistance and for the people experiencing all of this, stuff that was going on. So it was really helpful to me then, because it was one of my earlier dramas that I watched, to then be in the future when I'm watching, now when I'm watching dramas and they reference things, you're yeah, I have a frame of reference for that now. I get that concept a little bit better of what was going on then. So, but yeah.
And it's on Netflix now, right?
Yeah, it is. So, which makes it perfect because I can suggest this to friends. Well, if you want to know a little bit more about that, subject that you're spouting off about and have no concept of whatsoever, you should watch this drama that might actually educate you just a wee little bit. But also it's super fun. It's a really fun
It's a good
drama.
one.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a good. I second this recommendation. It's a good. It's a good one. It's a good one. So Jesse, you are a big Supernatural fan.
I am. And like I knew this about me, but like I guess like I didn't like equate it into K-drama. It's just like it's definitely like my jam outside of K-dramas. And then I was making my list of like possible ones to pick for this, and I was like, oh, I have a lot of like things to go through. The problem is I've talked about a lot of the shows that like I could mention, and like currently one of my top favorite shows of all time is Hotel Del Luna, which is a supernatural show, but like I want to talk about a show that is I guess now technically sci-fi, but I'm going to talk about it anyways because I wanted to.
There's no rules.
No
Anarchy.
rules. But like if you want me to like give you like 14 other like suggestions, I can do that. So I can do this. But I wanted to talk about the J-drama Repeat because the Korean version just ended its run a couple weeks ago, I think. It's called 365 Repeat for the Korean version. I have not finished 365, but I will say that there's not a lot of similarities, at least between like the first 8-ish episodes between the two shows. So like it's kind of just like a loosely based show off of the thing. But the basic premise of Repeat is that it's these group of people are contacted by this person, and he's like, do you want to go back in time to a specific date? I'm giving you this option. And if you want to do this, just come meet me at this restaurant, certain day and time. And then he is like, if you don't believe me, at this time, on this day, there's going to be an earthquake. So it happens, and so like all of these characters come together. You don't know why they're there, why they were picked. They don't know either. And so they're essentially thrown back in time. They don't know how or why, because it's like very secretive, and he's a very secretive person. And so they are kind of thrown back a year, and they're given a chance to kind of redo things. And everyone has like a specific different thing that they could repeat. One person missed her date with her boyfriend who was going to propose to her, which led to him breaking up with her, and that sort of thing. And I won't give away a lot of it because the show is definitely based on the mystery of it all. But things happen, and the three of the main characters kind of come together to try to figure out what's going on, who this person is, why they were chosen, how they could have potentially known each other, because there are like things that like they don't remember because of being put in, this time, travel position. So the whole entire time you're watching the show, you just don't know what's going on with the whole like premise. You see these people, and they're like obviously don't have any sort of connection whatsoever. In the Korean version, like it skews a lot more into it's a murder, like crime mystery, and this is why like I put like Repeat as like my angle, because Repeat plays up the supernatural. It like adds that as a level to the kind of like mystery of the whole entire show. So it's not just that like potentially people are dying. It's that there's something else that you don't know. And so you're spending the whole entire time not knowing anything, like just anything. I'm not even like the murder mystery of it. So the show, like that's what's really good about this show, is it just like keeps you on your toes, and you're always like trying to figure out what's going on and why these characters are connected and how they're connected, because they're so bizarrely not connected, and you're not given a lot purposely in the Repeat. You're not given a lot to the person who leads the time travel, not given a lot of like the backstory of each character, especially because it does kind of like it like follows the three main characters, but really the female is the lead character, and they do heavily focus on her more. The whole entire time you're spending, you just don't know what's going on, just in general. Like, it's just like, you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if, like, you're ever going to figure out things, if, like, something's going to happen to them because they time traveled, or, like, there's other people doing it. You're just, like, kind of always second guessing. And that's what I really liked about it. Was it perfect? No. But, like, time travel, they're never going to be perfect. And, you know, it's a J-drama, so, like, your episodes are shorter, and then the season's shorter, so they, like, kind of go through the story a little bit quicker. But I think that's what also helps the J-drama, is that it doesn't add unnecessary fluff, because they have the time. Yeah. It's, like, kind of, like, they're straightforward, and so, like, you're always just kind of forced into this, like, mystery along with the characters, too. Also, in the J-drama version, there's no cop, which is, like, a big thing in the 365. Already in 365, what I've watched, he has a lot more access to a lot more things than the characters in Repeat had. So they had such more mystery and had to figure out things so, like, more organically than, like, a cop with, you know, background checks gets to. So I think that's interesting. I love mystery, and I love kind of, like, thriller. And I love thriller that doesn't have to necessarily mean people are jumping out. It's, like, thriller because it's unknown and you don't know what's going on, so it's kind of heightened.
Yeah, the tense music plays.
It's like,
you're like,
it's tense, but it's not like, you know you're, like, tense, but you know that no one is gonna die in the scene. You're just, like, tense because you're like, what secret am I gonna find out now? And they're gathering at this, like, Chinese restaurant. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm sorry, it's gonna be really hard for you to find it. But it was pretty popular when it came out. So it's like, you know, you look around, you can figure it out. It's, I think, 2016. 2018. So
not even that far long ago.
No.
So
yeah. So I really kind of the mystery is just what got me with this show. You should definitely, if you can access it, try it. Also, like, 365 Repeat might be something that, like, turns into kind of, like, wraps back around to, like, being more like Repeat. I just don't know yet. So there's always a possibility, but yeah, it's definitely good.
Netflix has a recommendation page. Vicky has a recommendation page. Go there and say, like, I want the J-drama version.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
Which, I mean, like,
listen sometimes, you know?
It's possible that, like, a lot of people are already, like, starting to request it, having the Korean version out, that maybe they're wanting to do, like, a comparison watch on it. So, yeah.
So, I love supernatural stuff. And I had, like, a bit of a hard time deciding which one to, like, recommend over others. Now, the one that I inevitably picked is a bit of a polarizing one. Mostly because a lot of people had some issues with it when it came out, due not to the age gap of the characters, but the age gap of the actors playing the characters. Which I totally get. However, there was nothing untoward that happens in this show. So it's like there's nothing. It's all, like, implied. Like, they didn't film anything. Like, there's no making out. There's no bed scenes. It's all real on the level. This is also one of those that has one title that I knew it as, and then Netflix got it and gave it a new title that makes no sense. You know, like Netflix does.
I'm, like, trying not to steal your thunder because I'm like, oh, I know what this is now.
Yeah, okay. It is on my top 11 list on MDL, and that is the show Mirror of the Witch, which is called Secret Healer on Netflix. So, this show is a Saegeuk, and, okay, it's, like, real Saegeuk-y. I will admit this, because it's, like, yeah, you know, like, if it's, like, oh, like, you know, power behind the throne, like, blah, blah, blah. But this show is so awesome, guys. So, here's the plot. There's this king. He gets someone pregnant, his wife, okay? And then there's a shamaness, an evil shamaness, who is, by the way, the best character on the face of the planet. I'm sorry. She's so evil. She's so terrible. It's a delight. Everything she does is bad. But, like, she's so smart about... Anyway, okay. I literally, like, want to go as her to, like, a con at some point. Because, like, she's the tits. Anyway.
And, like, 2 other people at the con will be like, oh my god.
Be like, oh my god.
Everybody else will
Okay,
be like,
and
who
not
are you?
even the main character. So anyway, so the queen gives birth to twins, a boy and a girl. Ooh. But then the shamaness is like, oh, you gotta kill the baby girl, cause she's gonna be evil. She's gonna be evil. She's gonna cause bad things to happen to y'all. So the Taoist priest, who's like the spiritual advisor of the kingdom, is tasked with murdering a baby, and he pretends to do it. But he doesn't do it because he's a good dude. So he takes the baby and pretends that it's his baby and keeps her alone in, like, this hut inside of a pit surrounded by talismans so that no one can find her. And he's like, you can't leave, because if you leave, like, bad stuff will happen, because not only is he, like, protecting her, but, like, he's protecting everyone else from this, like, prophecy. Prophecy that she's gonna be an evil sorceress. Enter the main male character, who is the son of a slave, but his father was, like, you know, rich dude. So he's, like, the illegitimate second son and the only other child of this, like, dude. Of course, the real wife hates him, and he has a half-brother who treats him like shit, but he's really smart, and he wants to be a doctor. Due to a series of events, he ends up traveling into the woods and running from a tiger, and ends up, because he's following a kite, this mysterious kite that everyone sees, that they say a ghost is flying or some bullshit. And then he ends up and meets this girl. They fall in love. Everything's great. Then everything goes to shit really quickly, because she leaves. All this bad stuff happens. Then years go by, and murders start happening. But all the murders are connected to this strange tree. Anyway, I'm telling it really terribly. However, it is really good. The acting is superb. The story is really fun. There's a zombie in it. Yeah, like, that happens. The evil shamanist. There's like an awesome, like, warrior chick. Awesome. She's the best. The dude from Welcome to Waikiki, you know who I'm talking about. The funny one, the only one who was in both seasons.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay,
He's in it. He's a delight. It has actually pretty okay special effects. And it has actually, like, a really sweet love story that doesn't show anything inappropriate, because the actress was only 17 when the show was made, whereas the main actor was, like, touching 30. But don't worry, they don't do anything in it. I think they might have, like, one chaste, like, and that's it. So it's, like, one of my favorite shows. And it's on Netflix, so it's easy to find. So that's fun. So if you like, you know, historical fantasy, this one is for you. So it's called Secret Hero on Netflix. That the title makes absolutely no sense. I just need to. That's my one beef with it, is that the Netflix title really makes no sense. Like, Mirror of the
When
Witch
I first saw it
sense.
pop up, I was like, ooh, this sounds really intriguing. And then I was like, oh, it's Mirror of the Witch. Like,
Yeah, I thought it was a new drama too. I was like,
Okay.
oh, you made another Saga?
no.
Fine.
No,
Fine.
that's
Anyway, it's a really good drama. Do recommend. Gets 10 out of 10 from me. One of my coveted 10-star recommendations. There aren't that many, so it's just up there with Circle and Marriage Contract. So a lonely peak at the top there. So yeah, that's my recommendation. All right, Sky.
So in general, I'm really bad at making decisions. So.
Yes. Yes.
You're like, here's 10.
But I won't do that to you, so I'll just have to pick one. I think I'm gonna have to go with Beauty Inside.
Oh, so
Yes.
good.
I was gonna pick that one, but I was like sure someone was gonna pick it.
Yeah.
It was one of my contenders for my second pick, so it's really good.
So
Go
and
on.
and I guess in order to go along with me not being able to decide, I like the movie too, but
haven't seen
totally
it yet.
different tones. So like I'll talk about that a little bit. Beauty Inside, the drama is really, really good. The reason it's supernatural. So in general, some people would maybe not even say it's really all that supernatural, because compared to sorcerers or witches, like it's not that. It's the female lead character. And I'm going to get this probably confused because I've watched the movie since I've watched the drama. And the rules were a little different, not a ton, but with the drama, she changes body appearance. Was it once a month?
Yeah, it's
the drama?
basically instead of getting her period, she just becomes a different person for a week.
So in the movie, I feel like it was like a day. It was different time rules for those.
Yeah, it was definitely not that fast, and I don't
Yeah,
even
yeah.
think she had it for very long sometimes. I think it changed a little. Like
I
it
feel
wasn't
like in the drama
super...
it was like random
Yeah.
in the drama because she didn't know when it was gonna happen type thing. And so and that sounds like super bizarre and stuff, but they do it really, really well. The male lead character, it was the thing to have at the time. Facial
Yes, very
blindness.
popular that year.
Very popular.
Very popular that year.
But this was like the one instance that it really actually worked with
And there was
the
actually
plot.
a legitimate reason for why he had it. Like,
Right.
it wasn't just like, yeah, he just has it. Like, no, it was worked into the plot.
It's like actually how most people with that disease get it.
It seemed way more legit than a lot of the other facial blindness stuff that was going
Yeah.
on at the time. But
And it also actually went into how he could work around it. Like, it actually showed him his struggle for how he worked around his situation, not just being like, oh yeah, he's just a genius, so he can just tell. Like, no.
there's a fair bit of comedy, like not a ton, and it's not constant by any means, but there's light touches, which helps me enjoy a show. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as how, I mean, it goes pretty deep into the relationship between a person's identity and their body. Like, really.
Yeah.
I mean, and though I say it that way, you know, they don't say it with those words. But as far as, like, throughout the show, you know, it's a struggle. And she's an actress. So, like, that's the thing, too. She's super popular. The super popular actress. Like, so everyone's watching her all the time. That doesn't help anything. I don't do this often with shows, but what I wanted her job to be, I wanted her to just be a secret agent, and that would have fixed everything.
Yeah, I know. Right? She would have been a
Except when
national asset.
She can turn into anything. But even her relationship with herself and her, like, inner identity and how, like, so she would take a picture of each time she would look different. And so sometimes she would be a kid or an old man or just all this variety, but she would, like, have this respect for all these different types of people that were actually her too. I mean, it's fascinating, but then also the romantic relationship that ends up happening, I don't know, it wasn't super heavy on romance to me. There was, like, a lot of just mutual respect, like, just for the types of people they were. It was just really, really cool. I don't know, to me, it was just super deep in, like, a really accessible and meaningful way about a supernatural show. Like, I don't know, there were, like, really cool themes to it. So
I really like the relationships in that drama. I talked about on my Twitter. The brother and sister relationship in that drama is outstanding, and I loved every bit of it and the way that they handled it. And I think the way that they handled her, like, kind of her journey into loving herself for whatever she was, even when she was in these different things, and then them just their relationship together, because I think that's where they, like, focus more of the romance is on their relationship and how to be accepting of other people's flaws, no matter what they are.
Yeah.
And
It's a beautiful show. Like,
I have a question about it. Do they ever try to explain why what happens, or is it just one of the, like, I kind of like it when they have that crazy concept and they just go, it just happens. Like, just,
that, no.
and, you know, kind of like when we watched Psychokinesis and it was like, and a meteorite came in, bam, that, and we're not going to deal with it anymore.
No.
We're just going to tell the story, you know? So, or do they try to, like, magic up a really good scientific explanation for why she does?
No,
they do not.
I mean,
No,
there's
they
like
do
a,
not.
I kind of
they
prefer
kind of,
that, like, really.
there's a, like, one part where they kind of introduce when it first happens to her. It's not an explanation. It's kind of more of, like, I guess
Like
you could perceive it as, like, more of a, like, a mental thing that happened, kind of.
yeah.
But it's not, like, super known, because that's not what the scene is about, but that's a spoiler. But, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just always
No,
kind of crazy when you watch something supernatural that clearly could not ever happen, but they try to, like, make a scientific reason for it, and you're like, okay, but science doesn't
You're like,
work
no.
like that. Like, just make it magic and, like, just let me live.
Both the drama and the movie. I feel like the movie might have done just a little bit more, like a tiny bit more explanation. So tonally, the drama, it's a little light sometimes, very enjoyable watch. The main characters, I don't know, their relationship is really good, all these things. The movie is more bittersweet, tonally. I still really, really enjoyed it. Lots of very popular actors and actresses were in it as the main character, so it's fascinating. So even though it was bittersweet and it was much more serious. So people that watch the drama first and they're like, oh, I'm going to go watch the movie, I'm always trying to be like, just be ready for it totally to be totally different. I mean, as far as even the rules being different a little bit really isn't that big of a jump. So I really enjoy both. I recommend both. But yeah, they don't talk about the supernatural aspect a lot. It just kind of mostly is, other than coping with it all the time and what that means. I think a lot of people would really enjoy the drama. I think it would appeal to a lot of different type of watchers, honestly, because some people like romance, or some people that don't even want that much romance in it, they could still appreciate it for a lot of the other things in
definitely.
it. And even though there's like some like business power struggle stuff, it is not heavy in that at all, which is very nice to see. Like, you could have that plot line, but it's not like we have to talk about it 24/7 in the show. Whereas I feel like a lot of shows, once you introduce that plot line, it's like, well, now we have to talk about this for 4 episodes straight. So like they did good balancing that out and actually using it to talk about the brother-sister relationship and stuff like that. So like it felt like everything had purpose and it all worked together. So
I would also say Beauty Inside started on Drama Fever right before the crash that was Drama Fever. It was definitely cut.
Didn't Drama Fever die like
in the middle of it?
In the middle of the show, yeah.
I think it might have gone a couple of episodes and then, or a couple weeks, and then, Drama Fever died. However, since then, Viki has picked it up.
Yeah.
So you can find it on Viki. And the movie used to be on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. I personally haven't watched it. I just know it was there.
I feel like it might have been on Viki
years ago.
I'll go look. But yeah, I have a slew of Supernatural as well, but that's one of the main top ones for me. And I think it's one that I know a handful of people have watched, but I think a lot of people, if they did give it a chance, they would be very surprised by how much they would enjoy it.
I agree.
It feels like one that, like, some of them, like I said, I was surprised when I was looking through my list of, like, and being like, oh yeah, I guess that's Supernatural. Like, it's almost one that you wouldn't think of as being a supernatural, but, like, it totally is. And but you almost think of it more as like, it's like a metaphorical romance or something, you know, like you can make it more highfalutin in your head, but like it's supernatural. Like that's people don't turn into other people normally. Like that's not normal.
And I guess something that's interesting about the whole like body identity situation too, especially given that Korean culture and stuff, they don't really go deep into like talking about how it's so different when their romantic relationship is oh so different when she's maybe a guy, or
they really don't.
Like they don't.
They do have a humorous scene where, you know, the guy's parents come over.
It gets awkward, yeah.
Yeah, and like sees,
and
you know, a man in his bed.
You kind of feel that scene is purely done because the guest star who's in it.
Yeah, it was so good, but
what's his name? I can't even remember his name. Yeah.
Kim Min-suk. He's one of them. One of the Kim Min-suk.
One of the Kim Min-suks.
It was like his final fling before he went into military.
Yeah.
Yep. I thought it was interesting. They didn't play that up weird. It's not like throughout the whole show it's like, oh, it's weird when I'm a guy. Like, they don't go there.
Yeah, he was just like, you know, you're you, no matter what your outside looks like.
So
I know it's you. So.
And I just double checked, and the movie and the show are on Viki. Nothing's on Netflix as far as as far as America is concerned.
Yeah, it could have been years ago, and now it's not.
Yeah, I vaguely remember
I feel like I saw it there too.
Yeah.
Right.
So this has been another episode of the Genre Jar over here at Certified Newness.
If you want more supernatural recommendations, we have more, by the way.
Oh, we have more.
Oh, we have so much more.
And we'll have a list on my drama list.
Yeah.
Like, we'll have a list of supernatural recommendations and probably put more than what we've talked about here.
Oh, for
we'll
sure.
be on that.
Because, like, I love supernatural stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan. Anyway, if you have your own recommendations that we may not have seen, you should hit us up on our Twitter at Certified Nunas. Our Twitter, you can. We're usually trolling Twitter. That's where we live as citizens of the internet. But we are also on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are on Tumblr. We are on YouTube. We have our YouTube channel where you can find all of these episodes. And all of our episodes are also on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, and everything, of course, is on our website, certifiednewness.com, where Jesse lovingly types out all of the time codes for those people who need time codes, especially more for spoiler episodes, less so for this, where we're just, you know, chattering. And yeah, so you can find us in all those places. And we hope that you really enjoyed listening to this episode of the Certified Nunas and that you're all staying safe and socially distant from each other, but socially close in the heart. So, you know, we're here for you, however difficult your times might be. And if we've brought you some joy and you would like to bring us some joy and help us support this podcast, you can go to ko-fi.com/Certified Nunas and become an official sponsor of the podcast. I know we like to joke around about how, sponsor us, Yes Asia, sponsor us Korea Box, but they don't. Our real sponsors are listeners like you, and this is PBS. No, listeners like you who just really want to support the podcast, and we love every single one of you out there who listens, and of course, every single one of you who does support the podcast. So that's ko-fi.com/Certified Nunas, and we hope you have a fantastic week. And maybe check out some, some supernatural stuff to, get your mind off of what's going on in the world. Murder hornets and all. Murder ghosts better. Murder ghosts. In the little greater than sign towards the murder ghosts as versus murder hornets. Anyway, have a fantastic week, and we'll talk to y'all on Twitter. Bye!